Hey, everybody, good evening, and we are coming to you live. Once again, we're giving this a shot tonight. We already got some viewers watching us. We are coming you here live. Hey, Earplug Podcast, how are you doing tonight? Joe Ryan, good to see you tonight. Welcome once again to an IncrediChat Live here tonight with John-Marc Grob. We're going to talk to him in 1 second. If you are watching us on Instagram, make sure that you're sharing us out, liking us, following us, commenting on all that stuff. Thank you again, Earplug Podcast. And if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, like us, follow us. We got a great contest. Quick reminder, the contest, when we hit our number, we will be giving away an autographed photo as well as a gift certificate to Alternaverse Comics. 2 great gifts, lots of great things. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to be bringing in our special guest. Just going to invite him here. Just give me 1 second. Oh, no, it says that he's not going to be able to join us. Oh, no. But anyways, let's go live here. John-Marc Grob live on there. John, it said that you need to update your Instagram. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, don't worry about it. Guys on Instagram, listen, it's technology. We gotta love it. Hey, Kellyanne, good to see you. Listen, all of our friends over there on Instagram, I'm just gonna send everybody over. Please come on over to Instagram. I know we just tried to get John on here. But like I said, we're live over on I don't know why you're not able to join. No big deal. Folks watching on us watching us on Instagram, please. Hi, it's me, John. I can see the beauty of technology, ladies and gentlemen. But folks over on Instagram, there's only a couple of you watching right now. Come on over to our YouTube page or our Facebook page. Facebook is Incredicon HV. And then over on YouTube, if you go to YouTube, you'll find it under Incredicon, John-Marc Grob. You can join us right there too. So I'm going to close out the Instagram thing, but we're going to get right over here to the other chat and talk to John live. John, welcome again.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to IncrediChat. We
thank you.
Love technology. Technology is awesome. So, yeah. So, John-Marc Grob is with us tonight, as I said, and you are an amazing artist, and you are a self-published artist, but you've got such a great background in cartoons and animation. So I guess for those who are watching us tonight, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this wonderful career of art.
I forgot. I'm stage shy right now. No, well, it started at a very young age. I knew from like elementary school that I really love cartoons and everything. In first grade, I was doing Snoopy and anything and everything I wanted to be in there. So I learned the comic strip art. I just appreciated from elementary school, junior high to high school. And then I met the Hildebrandt brothers, Greg Hildebrandt. And they came to our high school. And next thing you know, what you know is they're just talking about their whole publishing area. And I just awesomely loved it. Then, of course, when it came time to go to college, that was a trick question. I checked out a whole bunch of colleges around the area and at upstate state. I'm from New Jersey, actually.
Yep.
And right now I'm living in North Carolina with the family. But none of the college really gravitated to me. Then just down the street from me, 3 miles, was the Kuber School, Joe Kuber School of Cartoon and Graphic Arts. And I'm like, oh, sweet. This is like 3 miles from my house. Really nice. I go there. I see all the teachers. Milt Neal was one of the teachers there. He was one of the original Disney animators. So he worked on Fantasia, Pinocchio, Dumbo. He was considered the Duck Man. That's what he was known for, Daffy Duck, believe it or not. Anyways, all these characters, all the teachers there, I was like, oh, I got to go. I just got to come here. Besides having Joe Kubert there, like a phenomenal artist there. He was like the Michael Jordan out of the comic book industry. So I go there. I go there for the 3 years. I graduate. I'm working with Milt. I've done stuff with Joe Kubert. And my first job was working with Greg Hildebrandt. The 360, working at a publishing company called Unicorn Publishing, working there. So it's that whole circle that I came right back to. I love art as a young kid, and I kept on striving for it. And whenever I came to a spot where I had an opportunity, I jumped on it. If it was for free or if I could just help somebody out. Yeah, that's what it was like. It's like the biggest teacher influence was me for Milt Neal. I was working at a studio for a second year and the third year, and some of the fun things that we really had to. Well, I will say, second year at the Cuber School, we had a real fun thing to do. We were working on a Pele video, teaching kids how to play soccer.
Interesting.
And when we were teaching kids, we had this whole thing. He had to get it penciled in ink, and he had to get it ready done. We were up for 72 hours nonstop.
Wow.
Painting and inking. We didn't leave his studio at all. He was just bringing in food, no shower, nothing. We're just like working nonstop. The third day, some of the administration called Milt up and said, the board's coming here. They're checking out all the classrooms. The whole third year students were all gone, and half the second year. So we're flying down there to get there. We're like sleeping on our animation table. Fun stuff like that, little stuff.
Well, let me ask you. So you mentioned like when you were in school, because I think that's for a lot of artists, and it's funny you mentioned Snoopy. I think a lot of people probably like in our age range, like stuff like the Peanuts, were definitely an influence, just because we all grew up with those specials, things like Garfield, things like that. What were some other inspirations to you as a kid that really gravitated you to this world of comic strips or animation? I mean, obviously Peanuts being one of them.
Yeah, that was the first one, actually, Charlie Brown. I love the comic strip and just a little Snoopy character I was always drawing. Next to that, actually, a lot of the Marvel characters, I enjoyed reading the comic books, but that wasn't my style. I was more of the soft character, so I graduated more to the Disney style altogether. So I love Mickey, Donald, and Pluto, and just the animation, the background, the color, the storytelling, that just like, I just drove right into this. Besides having the shorts that the Disney had, like the DuckTales, or if they had like Little Smurfs and Garfield was classic, There's a lot of different influencing area. I will say, stranger enough, is I always admired the Hildebrands because of their colors. I love the techniques, how they actually color, and then being able to work with them at lunchtime. I used to go in the back and just watch them paint and just learn from them. I'm just fresh out of school. That was really, really cool to be able to have that.
Gotcha. Now let's talk a little bit about the character that you created, or the world, the universe that you've created. And I'm gonna pull this up here on the screen and tell us a little bit about the inspirations for you, because for this. And I mean, obviously, I look at this, I definitely see Hanna-Barbera, I see Disney, a little bit of everything in here. Tell us about Friendfish and what exactly the world of Friendfish is.
Sure. This is a kids cartoon series that I'm currently working on right now. I just came out 3 weeks ago with the comic book, 1 out of 2 out of the series right now. It's a bunch of fun-loving fish that live in an aquarium, this phenomenal world where there's a board. It's kind of like a theme park. And out of the theme park, you actually have all these different antics that are happening above and all the stuff that can happen below. And there's all these fish from all over the world. They're all orphans, per se, and they're actually in this aquarium right now. So that's the comic book right now. It's online, so you can get it at Amazon as well as my website, but also on iBookstore, you name it, ebook or the physical copy. So it's just the antics. I just love fish. I actually came up with this idea where my father was passing away, and he loved fish. He had a saltwater fish tank growing up, and then this whole inspiration just came about at that time, and it's inspired by him primarily. And from that point, when I create the fish, all these different personalities, everything is kind of my personality and other people around me. I'm a really bubbly type of character and friendly, so that's where we get the Friendfish, that whole message in there. So.
Gotcha. And, I just want to talk about messages too. All the work that you do is very family friendly.
Yes. Yeah.
So talk about what's like for you, what is the importance of having a family friendly, because I mean, there are a lot of comic books out there. There's a lot of cartoons out there that really, kind of ride that fine.
A little dark. Yeah. But hey, it's like no different than music and art. Art is art. Okay, I'm more gravitating to the family friendly because there's not a lot of content out there per se. I mean, you can watch a lot of Disney, and after a while you get a lot. So that's who I am. That's my style and my per se. And my style of art is very colorful. Somebody else might be doing superheroes. That's not right or wrong. That's their style. That's great. But I just love to reach out to the kids because I'm more of the soft heart personality. So that's where all my merchandise, all my concepts comes into. So that's who I am. That's who I am basically. So the Friendfish is basically friendship and everything. So family friendly comes into that play as well.
Gotcha. Got you. And I mean, that's like the one thing that I've always admired about your work is that family friendly aspect. Like for those who are watching, I got to meet John. I got to know John because we did a lot of things with Alex Simmons and the Kids Comic
at the Comic-Con, New York. That was great.
And we did. I guess we did some show.
We did the one up north. What was that? White Plains or whatever. A couple in there, and then we did like in Manhattan. One time they had a street fair. I don't know if you were at that one or.
Yeah, well, I know. I think I was there at the Ronald McDonald House.
Yes. Yeah.
So and Alex again, very friendly, very family.
Yes.
Stuff there's a lot.
Say it 5 times fast.
but that's the thing, and doing it for Ronald McDonald House with Alex, doing Alex's Kids Comic Con, it all ties back to Alex Simmons, right? With us.
Yes.
But it's good because when you're doing family friendly things, you run into a lot of other folks who are you run into other folks who are on that same journey, that same mission. Like you said, there's you in the world of comic books, especially, a lot of people overlook those family friendly titles.
It's really interesting is because we're the lowest side of the totem pole. There's not a lot of interest, to be honest, and maybe it's because for years it's been so stylized in a way that the family, the people like, well, we don't know the content in there. Is it really safe for my kids to see or whatever? And that's probably what made this industry a little harder for myself. But at the same time, I'm breaking down a lot of barriers and doors, and a lot of streaming line companies are very interested in the concept just for the fact that family friendly. It's not out there. There's not out there at all.
Because that's funny. Like, and I mean, you go into a comic shop, and a lot of the comic shops, like the family friendly stuff.
Spot.
And maybe it's a little row
in the corner.
Just like exactly in the corner.
Yeah.
And it does not get the love that a lot of.
And the interesting thing is when you're saying the love, the high power volume that's in there in the family is huge. They're not capitalizing on it. It's not. Here's a perfect example. When you make horror movies, how many horror movies are there? A ton.
Exactly.
Which movies make the most money? Disney, Lion King, all the cutesy, lovely ones. Interesting. I'm like, no different than the comic, but the comic book, a lot of people, publishers, are not putting it out because they think the horror movie, not to say comic books are horror movie, but I'm saying that genre style is what everybody wants and people buy. I guarantee you, if they change their tune and put more family content friendly stuff up there, they would skyrocket because there's an enormous amount of kids that want to read right now through ebooks, or if they get the physical comic book when we grew up. I mean, there's not. I don't know how many are out there.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that too, because like again, I'm thinking back to when I grew up, and obviously we're roughly around the same age.
I'm only 3.
What?
I'm only 3.
But I remember when I first got into comic books, the way that I gravitated to comics. I always liked the comic strips. I like Garfield. I like Snoopy. Like I watched all those specials and things, and then a lot of the animated shows. I remember when I was a kid, and this was probably like probably around like 84, 85. Marvel Comics had that line of Star Comics, they called them.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of original things, which like Royal Roy, which was kind of like Ricky Rich, certainly kind of term. But like what gravitated me over, like they would do adaptations. Like the very first Star comic fans out there, the very first Star comic they did was a 3-issue adaptation of the Muppets Take Manhattan. And so I was a Muppet fan, so I was like, oh wow, cool, I'm gonna have the Muppets in a comic book now. And then they did like the Ewoks. They did a adaptation of the cartoon, the Droids cartoon. Like for me, I the one, and I still have the full run of this. The Star comic full run of is Alf. Like,
oh yes.
And they did like 50 some odd issues of Alf. But it was that cross, and again, kid friendly stuff. So I was like maybe 5th, 6th grade when the Alf comic book came out. I got into that, and then from Alf, because I was unsure about it at first, but then I graduated into Archie, because Archie was like that teenage thing, because
the teenage,
and certainly, as like a 12, 13-year-old kid, you're like, am I supposed to be? Because you look at some of Dan DeCarlo's covers with Betty and Veronica.
Yes.
Like, are my parents gonna get mad if I read this comic book? Because you didn't know, because those comic covers are a little misleading. But again, and certainly at that era, like they were really family. There were a lot of family friendly comic books in the masses for that. Like they had Starlines, they had ones. I mean, you go back into the 50s and 60s, Dell
that was all,
and Gold Key, like
you had the Bugs Bunny, you had the Pink Panther, you had Tom and Jerry's, you had the Flintstones, you had Scooby Doo, all of them.
Yeah, and it's funny now, and I know some people are probably watching us tonight. There's some guys who are collectors, like there's when people go looking for like these well, I guess those are Silver Age, maybe from the 50s.
Yeah.
They're not looking for like the Yogi Bears and the Pink Panthers.
No, they're looking for Spider-Man.
Exactly, but
well, Spider-Man's not that old. I'm sorry, Batman rather.
But the thing is that there were such an abundance of these kids things, which translated over, whether it be from the actual Disney Warner stuff and TV Hanna-Barbera stuff. So they're always marketed towards kids, and not that kids don't buy comic books now, but I think they're really.
It's the parents that are buying, and that's their concern. The parents don't know what's in it, so they're not going to read it. They don't touch it. But now, if you have the content saying family friendly or some type of seal saying it's okay for what age group, I think the parents would be more inclined to get. It's a huge market that's not even being touched, scratched on.
Absolutely, 100%. And I mean, and that's the other thing. I guess most shops and whatever, even bookstores and stuff, they're when you're thinking comic books, you're not thinking that family friendly. You're thinking it's going to sell. Spider-Man's going to sell. Right?
Correct. Here's something interesting. When we bring up marketing and what we talk behind stage about myself and everything, understanding marketing, when you put something out there and you want to research to see, is this going to be at what age, or is this something that's going to be appealing to kids or family or people, whatever it is, okay? You always want to do some research. Well, when I did my Friendfish series, I put it on the Facebook page, and next thing you know, in a matter of 13 months, I had 150,000 fans worldwide.
Yeah.
I thought this age group was younger. Those age group were not even on Facebook. So again, even though it's supposed to be like nice and cutesy and everything for little kids, the average people that are actually like it are in their 20s.
Yeah.
It still appeals to young and also the thing that's interesting is you might look at like Garfield or something thinking it's all for younger audience and everything, not realizing you could have a huge following that you don't even know. So I think the industry in itself is missing a huge opportunity. They're missing it because there's a truckload of that standard comic books when you go there, and you're fighting shelf for space like anything else. On the other hand, there's nothing coming in on the other side, and I guarantee you, if you put more of that out there, that will give more content, more kids to lead up to the older comic books after. So you're missing the boat, a huge opportunity, no pun intended.
Yeah, but again, going back to like what I was saying, like I graduated from like the cartoon stuff to Archie, and then I was buying then the Punisher and the Batmans and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a good entry point for comic books.
Right.
So you did touch a little bit upon about the marketing and the research, and I mean, like you are, I'm guessing that is a Friendfish shirt that you're wearing right now. There you go.
That's one of my little dolphins. Wait, here we go.
There he is.
I should have had my other ones on. Yeah.
But I mean, and I guess we do have a lot of folks that are indie publishers are interested in.
You're breaking up right now.
Can you hear me? Uh-oh, did you lose me?
Up. I missed you.
Uh-oh. All right, I'm back. Are you there?
Oh, I'm coming back slowly. Here I am.
All right. No, that was weird. One of us froze. Sorry about that, folks. So we have a lot of folks I know that are watching us too. Some folks are artists just getting started in the business.
Yeah.
Some folks already have stuff that they are producing. As somebody who's worked independently with your own brand, what are some of the struggles and the successes that you can share, and like advice that you could give to some of the folks that are watching, in making sure you follow through, because it's not going to be a hit right out of the park. You've worked to get Friendfish to where it is right now.
Yeah, it takes years. Just because you have an idea and people shut the door on you, how many times or whatever, they don't think it has a concept or very good or whatever. Don't say no to that. Keep pursuing whatever it is. Look, I shared the same conceptual idea with my kids a lot of times. How long did it took Thomas Edison to come up with a light bulb?
Yeah.
Okay, he didn't stop the first second. It was like 1,300 times, right? Well, Hershey took 10 years to come up with the Hershey bar, okay, the flavor. So they didn't give in. No different than the same thing whenever you're doing with the artwork, and stay true to your art. You may change the style or cartoon or figure the wave and everything. The technology totally wasn't where it is now for me when I first started the Friendfish, and now marketing it is totally easy and to help. So I would really encourage, if you have a dream, don't let it go. Just keep on pursuing whatever it is, and be happy. Okay, if someone says something negative, take it as it is. Someone said take it positive, take it as a positive, but keep moving forward. I think one of the worst things that artists can get into a situation is somebody says something, they're like, oh no, they don't like my stuff. Oh no, they get shy or they put away. Don't be fearful of that. Be motivated in a sense, and hang around with other artists that give you some other tips and encouragement. A lot of artists need encouragement to keep on going, because sometimes you get hit that bottom of the pit, nothing's happening, all of a sudden, then boom, it comes back again. The same thing with the Friendfish. Every time I turn my back or whatever, another door opens up and another one here. If I stopped there, I wouldn't be where I am currently right now.
Yeah. And I guess that constant thing, you, I guess with any kind of like arts that you're involved with, and just with any career, like you have to learn to accept and grow from rejection.
Correct.
Not something, what you're doing may not be for everybody, or that person that you're talking to, and don't let them tear that down. Right.
Look, when you go to the supermarket, how many different cereal boxes are there? Dozens. Okay. What gravitates you to that one? Is it the box design or the flavor? One of those two. Okay, you're like, oh, that looks kind of colorful. It kind of looks nice. I want that one. Well, the other ones aren't bad because other people will buy them too. No different than your art that you're currently trying to create, or your concept. Is you have a market, then you have to find that niche and find those people and build that network and the following thereafter. That's what I did with the fan page on Facebook. I had to shut it down, slow it down, because it just took off. It literally was like redlining out 150,000 worldwide in a heartbeat. I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for you guys yet. It's basically putting a cereal box there and 100,000 people want that one box. I'm like, I don't got enough to supply you guys.
And Joe Ryan, and he's one of our regular watchers, and Joe's an artist too. Like he said, well said, never give up on your dreams. If I listened to all the negative criticism of my art, I would have never progressed as far as I am now. Absolutely.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say very true.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So it's really about just keeping up and growing. Now, let me ask you, as you've been doing this for years with Friendfish, are there ideas that, I guess, because you always hear, you work on something, and at the moment,
I know what you're going to say. Yeah, no, I haven't had that. You're going to say you drop that one, and you continue with this idea. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, and then you come back to that idea, and you're like, wow, this was really good, like 3 years ago, and then you run with it, and it becomes a huge idea.
My only one was only Friendfish. I worked for Marvel, DC, and Warner Brothers in the past with stuff, and Disney. So basically, working in the general market and the mainstream, you kind of see that exactly what you're saying. But for my own content, I stuck to the guns with my Friendfish series, and I just put all my effort into that. And because the first time it came out of the gate, there was a huge interest. A lot of businesses were interested. But again, it's the pilot film. I got to finish up my pilot, that conceptual vision right now. I have investors very interested. I have multiple streamlined people. I have manufacturers ready for it. I went to a Walmart meeting. Okay, here's the thing. Here's a very fun thing. I was doing a whole bunch of new marketing, new branding for a company down in Arizona. They were like the #1 tattoo company. I did a whole bunch of art for them. They went to Walmart. They brought me in. They want them to introduce to their buyer the Friendfish series. Well, they had all the licensing, Brent. They had all the Disney, all the Marvel, all the Hello Kitties, all the cute stuff. The buyer is like thumbing right through all this stuff fast, and not interested. And then I only have like 30 seconds left. She picks up her chair. She turns it to me and she goes, I want to know more about that. And my Friendfish is all stuff behind me, all the little kits and all the stickers and stuff. And I explain everything. I had my little Friendfish tie on.
Yep.
Next thing you know, next thing you know, she goes, do you have the video of that? I'm like, no, not yet. She goes, if you had a video, I'll buy everything. I went, whoa. So what an encouragement to a lot of people, I would strongly say, is networking. That's the biggest thing right now. So a lot of artists, what they'll do is they'll work with other artists, but you got to get out of that art field and you got to get into the industry. You got to build up your sales force and people that are in the high market area for buying or helping your product to get further. If you're in that industry with the artist, you're always going to be in the same area. You got to branch out. And that's what happened with some of my contacts through LinkedIn, believe it or not. A guy found me, and that's when we became friends, and he brought me into that company, and we've been all over different other businesses with the Friendfish series.
And I mean, certainly, like, it's a constant growth, I would guess, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like watering a tree. Okay, as soon as you stop watering or giving it nutrition, it's going to die. You got to prune it. You got to clean it. You got to water it. You got to fertilize it. You got to be there constantly. That tree is going to get a couple storms. Some branches might fall down or whatever. It's going to die again and come back up to life again. But you got to constantly be there for that tree. That's who you are. Keep it growing.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that you did do stuff for like Disney and Marvel, and Warner Brothers. What kind of things did you do for that, and how did your work on those projects help lead to you realizing, well, like, this is a good idea. This is something and I'm not saying like content wise or art.
Right.
Like the way that they were marketing, how did that like help guide you on your path with Friendfish?
Well, a little different because marketing was different. I was in a graphic design for over 30 years plus years. So right now I was in the comic books and the animation, doing a lot of commercials and so forth. I did video games. So where I got into doing the comic books was at the Kubert School, Joe Kubert. Joe had the computer lab there. I set up the entire computer lab for him to teach kids how to work on the computer. This was back in after 88, 89 when I graduated, but I was teaching night class there in daytime. We got into doing comic books, and Marvel wanted to do their first rendition with comic books. So I actually did, I'm getting a feedback. Oh, okay. So I did video games. So where I got into doing the comic books at the Kubert School, Joe Kubert. I'm getting a feedback right now. Do you hear that? Computer lab there. I set up the entire computer lab for him to teach. Okay, there we go. That's better now. So when I was at Joe Kubert, I set up his computer lab, and we did the first Punisher Warzone. So I did all the colors for that books for 6 books and the interior, and Andy loved it. I did one of the X-Men covers for him too. So understanding that's networking, and so you start to realize, okay, you got to really build up onto your the genre and everything. So I learned that industry. Then I worked for a company doing video games, and from that point on, it was the standard classic animation stuff that they were working on. Then they wanted to get a Disney title in there, and they needed a former Disney animator, aka my teacher Milt Neal. Gotcha. So I brought him in, and they instantly got the Goofy account. So through that Goofy account, so we were able to do a video game for Disney at that time. But that was because, again, networking. So use your teachers, use people that are left and right of you that may be not in the industry as artists or artists, and pursued your passion. Warner Brothers, they were looking for a designer to do for clothing. So in New York, I did. This was in the mid '90s when they had the buttons coming down, all the characters popping off here and out of the sleeves. I had fun there, so I did a ton of designs for them for the back of all the embroidery stuff. There, that inspired me tremendously to do all the interior. The fashion design. So now when I have for my Friendfish, I have everything, like my ties, as you know. I have my tons of shirts, bibs. Yeah. I have bath towels. I have shower curtains. You name. I have like 200 different items, and that's through Zazzle. That's something that a lot of artists should really take up on. Zazzle.com, because you can get onesies, and that in itself, I've gone to a lot of meetings presenting like finished products. So you got to really think out of the box. So when I was working at Warner Brothers, it helped me really a lot with the fashion industry. So that's why I love a lot of my design. Working at Marvel, doing the stuff for the comic, I understand the industry. Print, I was in the pre-press, so I did some pre-press separation, so I understand pre-press stuff. Working for the video games, I got more involved in technology and understanding licensing. That was the big thing, because everything they did was licensing. You're realizing, oh, that's where the money is in, and making them stuff. So every different industry that I learned something new as a building block that helped me where I am now. So where I am is like, all right, now I got to get the network. Okay, I have that. Now I got to get somebody to manufacture the goods. I can do that. I can contacts. So you build up your inventory of people that can help you facilitate the next level where you're trying to achieve. And that's where I am currently right now.
Yeah, no, and you mentioned that up because like you really are building up like a repertoire of stuff. And
yeah, I mean, very true.
And, I think, again, for the people watching, I think, and anybody that's a young artist, like, especially like in the art field, like, yeah, you want to be that animator for Disney, or you want to, have that next DC or Marvel comic book. There are other avenues to that. You don't just jump right in, like, guess what? You're animating Frozen 3 or whatever, or you're working on a Bunny comic book. Like you mentioned, like clothing, like there are other elements where art is needed.
Very much so. Yeah. I mean, exactly what you're saying. A lot of times people as an artist, they get pigeonholed. They get in that one spot and they think that is exactly what I want to do. When I was at the Cuber School, one of the things I got hired to do is to go down to Disney, and they were going to hire me. That was in the, what was that? That's down in Disney World. I can't think of what it was. MGM Studio. Okay. And they had that section there where the animators were actually working and the people were walking around. And I looked at that. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a fish in a fish tank. No pun intended with that. I'm like, oh, no. They're looking at their back. I'm like, I can't pick my nose or anything. Go scratch the back of my head without people looking at me. I'm like, nah, that's not me. That's not me. So not only I had an opportunity and I turned it down. And that was okay. Just because of my lifetime dream was to work for Disney doing an animator like that. That didn't make me feel comfortable. Other doors opened up for me. Big times. So when you don't realize that this is just an iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, what I shared, a lot of stuff I've done, not everything, but honestly, when you might think, like you were saying, that you want to be that unique comic book artist, okay, or work for Marvel, DC, and you're like, yeah, you're shy, but there could be a company down there has a licensing and they could make you even more famous or more work than you can be involved with. Again, an artist think I gotta go here. There's a ton of different platforms that are, look, even like the trading cards. Okay, back then, okay, trading cards are huge. That's kind of fun. But what if you got into a company to design all merchandise for a particular genre? Like if it's like from Marvel to Disney, cutesy stuff. That's fun. You can still use your imagination. You're still working on the characters, and you're putting on the shirt. And next thing you know, you can say, "That's my art." On that guy's shirt, and they're wearing it, or whatever merchandise for that matter.
And also, I guess what that also is doing too is you're building up a stronger portfolio.
Oh, absolutely! Because you're more diverse.
Yeah, you're showing you can work in all these different kind of media.
Correct.
So people are like, look at all the stuff this guy has done, and maybe this is the guy that we want on our team. Like I guess we were talking about that other story where they, like, if you had that video, they saw this other great stuff. Yeah. I mean, and you're mentioning like the onesies and the tie and your shirts and stuff. You for a lot of folks, you go to a Comic-Con, and you go table to table, and I mean, there are phenomenal artists there.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
But some, like, everybody has like their cards, their prints, their comics.
Right. And what a lot of big problems that I have with the artists are, I love their stuff, but you want the art, they're like this behind the table. They're not engaging. Get on the other side. Okay, talk to the people and everything. Get them more excited in who you are. They're not going to be coming to you just because, oh, wow, that's really good artwork. You got to get engaging with them. So remember the time we're at Comic-Con, that whole group of us, and we're all staged all over the place. That one part when we had that 8.5 by 11, and each one of us did a little drawing on it, and we passed it around that entire time.
Yeah. Oh my God! Yes, I remember that. That was in Jersey. I remember. Now.
Correct. How much fun was that?
That was great. I still oh my God.
Yeah, I still have mine too. Each one of us has a unique one that the others doesn't have. The same point of how made that so interactive is when we were doing the lessons and teaching kids how to draw or whatever. That's one spot where Alex had that whole section in the Comic-Con that we were rotating our techniques in there. Well, we're engaging the kids and the parents and the feeling like that same level of energy. We had like, what was it, like thousands of people outside the door that couldn't even come in that some of the times. That's when they're doing the stormtroopers in the back. But there was so much engagement where a lot of the artists are not thinking that way. They're thinking just plain flat. And I would encourage them to pull out. One of the biggest things I share with all artists, not just cartoonists, any artists, they're like, how do I get my stuff in the market? Get into that store and everything. I say, do you know what you have to do? Pick up the phone and call them. Okay. Write them an email. And they're like, I don't know where to contact. And I go to a Target, go to a Walmart, Bed Bath & Beyond, wherever you go, pick up a product that you think yours would go good on. Look at the back. Guess what? It's their address and their street and all this stuff. Reach out to them. You never know. Okay, Dollar General, Dollar Tree. That's how I got comic books. I got comic coloring books that I was trying to get into there. I went to the meetings. You become the salesperson. Just don't become the artist. Become the salesperson. Become the marketeer person. Become the networking person. You need to have all those different areas in your life, because if you don't, you're not going to be successful. If you want your concept to come out, you got to take bigger steps now. More challenge.
And again, going back to, I always like, the one thing I always like love about you is because you are so diverse in everything that you have, and again, going back to this whole thing about the Comic-Con, like having the coloring books there, you mentioned like the onesies, like, you may be sitting at your table there, and you're the only person with that like kid's t-shirt or that kid's onesie. And you know what? There's going to be a mom that walks by and says, that's adorable. I'm buying that for my kid, and that's
right.
For folks who want to make a couple of bucks at a show, you now have something that, is marketable to even a different kind of art audience. And then when you, again, like you mentioned about going outside and saying like, hey, that's my artwork on that shirt,
Right.
I mean, like, my God, that's what advertising is that then? Oh, where'd you get that shirt? Right.
That's the whole. I mean, just don't stop there as an artist, because I'm a photographer as well. Yeah. This one company wanted gift bags. I reached out to them. Next thing I know, for 6 years, I was selling my photography, my flowers. I'm taking pictures and wherever I go, travel on their gift bags. They were selling them like hotcakes all over the industry. One order was 233,000 dozen. It came over the boat. Next thing you know, so another company wanted the whole thing. They had to do a double order.
Wow.
What happened? They were only paying me $400 for each photo. That was it. I'm not making any royalties on it. That they wouldn't do it. So I'm like, as an artist, you have to be smart now. Now, a lot of artists says, no, I want royalties or I'm walking away. Well, I would have lost that 6 years. Having to say, I have all my merchandise on there. What did I do instead? I said, can I have my logo, my name on the bottom of the bag? And they're like, sure. Okay. So you substitute your royalty to have your name on the bottom of the gift bag. So if somebody likes that photo, who are they going to call? Are they going to contact the manufacturer? No, they're going to contact me because they saw my name on there. So it was free advertisement for me for those millions of gift bags that were sold nationwide, which was great. Same thing. Think out of the box. One of the first thing I did when I had an opportunity to present to Kmart T-shirt designs for them. This is when the Cuber School was really great for this. Whenever jobs came in, they farmed it all out to a lot of the different students. That's how I got this one job. So I had to go to Hoboken and present my portfolio and everything. These Strauss and company, these older guys, they loved my concept. They said all these concepts, they just want one. I didn't take one. I took 6. So when we went to the meeting to Kmart, and they're like, we just want one. I'm like, I know you said one. I got 6 different concepts for them. And they're like, we just want to get one. They're so nervous, these guys. I'm like, I'm okay. If they say one's fine. They end up buying 3. not one. They end up buying 3. You have to think out of the box. Out of that was 253,000 designs that they bought for each one. 2 weeks for Christmas time, sold out nationwide in Kmart. Just think out of the box again. You need to. Even somebody says, "I just want one," give them 10. They might just pick 2. Think out of the box. That's all I can challenge yourself, basically.
You know, and I just wanted to send everybody, like we see here scrolling down, jmg-studio.biz. If you go onto that website, like, I mean, you can see everything. Like, I mean, I have it open here on the other thing. Like, I mean, there's party supplies, there's mugs, there's shoes, there's buttons, there's comics, there's coloring books. I mean,
drawing
like
books,
drawing books, pillow, flip-flops. Like,
yeah.
What have
the comic book?
A comic book
right here.
You're not done yet, right?
Well, yeah, my drawing book, and get this drawing book is number 2, but I got a number 3, and I had the first one too. Where's that one? Okay, the first one over here. Now, share with the idea of this being in the publishing in the industry of doing books. I've done a lot of books, a ton of books, even EPUB books, which is really great. That's another whole we can have another whole series on marketing yourself on there. If you type in my name, John-Marc Grob, on iBookstore, I'm probably number 5 or 6 on a drawing book right now. It's free. That's another I can't get into it, reason why I do that, but I'll explain that another time. But this drawing book and all the other ones, this one here, with this, what I did.
Full screen so you can show it up to everybody.
Right. Okay. On this side here, on the right side, I left blank intentionally. Okay. On the left side, I have a drawing on each one. I made it to very easy that it's like your walking sketchbook. So all what you just need is a pencil. You don't need any paper. So the parent could say, "Here, kid, take this. I don't have any pens. I don't have any paper to draw." You got everything in a book. So I have the small ones, a 6x9, and also the 8.5x11. So but here's the thing. All these drawings are my YouTube. I do a YouTube lesson a day. I have over 400 free videos on teaching kids how to draw.
That's why I wanted to get into that.
Out of that, I book now.
Well,
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about
so
how that evolves. Because I wanted to go into your YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing over there on YouTube. That's awesome too.
Yeah, what inspired me to do that? I started one way, and I'm leaning to another way. And I'm going to be starting another whole series on teaching kids on coloring and techniques and everything. My biggest concern was teaching. Going to the Kubert School, I taught there and learning from these master artists and how they sketch and how they draw. I go on the YouTube, I'm seeing these kids drawing and stuff. No different than when we go to Comic-Con seeing kids drawing. They're not being taught right. It's like teaching kids to go to a microwave to make a meal. No, you start by scratch and how you sketch and everything. Some of the top YouTube videos right now are teaching kids the wrong way. There's no sketching. So what I want the kids to break out is sketching. So I made a very simple format, step 1, step 2, step 3. And I just have the kids can pause the video and see my first sketches and the second and third. So that's pretty much inspired me. When that inspired me, then I can advertise on there. If I have my latest book or comic book in there, but then I can take that art that I'm doing for one thing and multiply it. And how can I multiply it? I multiply it into a series of books that I'm putting out there. So it's all free, but at the same time, I'm making the stuff for books. So I'm diversifying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for everybody who's watching too, I did put the link here. That's the link to
yes.
The YouTube page, JMG Studio 1. And I mean, you've got quite a lot of videos on there, and
there's over 400. Is that the one with the comic book panel in the back? Just making sure.
I think it had like the little superhero guy on it, right?
Yeah. Well, me in the middle, but they have Spider-Man and Captain America.
Let me take a quick look. I don't want, because what happened was the sound was going to come on. I don't want the sound to come on. Okay. Yeah. Captain America and the Spider-Man are all on that. Great.
Yeah. That's the right one. Yep.
So we're having some questions here coming in. Have you had the chance to meet any of your inspirations for artwork wise?
Anybody famous meaning or stuff like that?
Yeah.
Oh man,
I'm asking about names. So I'm gonna add to that, and like artist wise, like I mean, you probably didn't meet Charles Schultz. I don't know. Maybe you did.
No, never met Charles Schultz. Okay.
Any other like famous artists that really inspired you to get to meet?
Well, basically, Milt was really inspiring as a Disney artist and so forth. So that going to the Kubert School, a lot of teachers were famous to begin there. Donnie was there. Okay, Hi Eisman, a letter, all these different artists that were there. So I had them as teachers. So that was very inspiring. The neat one was when I was working with Joe Kubert, and I'm setting up the Marvel studio to color on the computer. So we're going in and out of the New York City late at night, and we're getting in the elevator. It's just Joe is coming in next to me. If the elevator door opens up and closes, this guy walks in. I look at him, I smile, and then he goes back out there, and Joe's like, "You know who that was?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that was Stan Lee." And he goes, "You didn't ask for his autograph." I'm like, "It's so late. I didn't want to bother him. He looked tired and everything." So that was a little fun bit in there. Working with the Hildebrands, Greg Hildebrandt, okay, learning color concept, the shading and the techniques and all that stuff. That was just really a gift for me on that opportunity. I lost another thought. I had a couple other ones right now. I can't think of right now. Anyways, but yeah, I've met a lot of different artists that I really appreciate their techniques and stuff. And that the thing about it is you don't be shy to go up to them and ask them, but politely. Don't be too much crazy about that. But you can learn tips. Oh, that was the other one. Okay, Schultz, not Schultz. Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner. What's his name? Yeah, Chuck. Okay, I was going to meet him. I'm at his signing one of his animation cells and everything. He gets sick.
Oh my God.
We're in New York. He flies back to LA. A couple days later, he passes away. I'm like,
oh my God.
That was really a bummer.
Wow.
That was a really bummer.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what is your creative process? And what, as an artist, what is your day like? That you find yourself working better in the morning, afternoon, or do you wake up like at 3 o'clock in the morning? I got this idea, and you quickly get up to the board.
You said it. 3 o'clock. I'm up in the morning at 3.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It's early in the morning and late at night when your brain is so tired and exhausted. Creativity just flows out of me. And when I'm first thing in the morning where there's nobody around me or whatever, I can get a lot of ideas and a lot of work done at that time. That's the nature for me. But yeah.
And like what? Because I'm guessing you have a home studio because it looks like you have a lot of your artwork there, so it's probably in your studio there. What right now? What is the medium that you're using to work with the most? I guess.
Well, my big pencil. Well, I love working on the computer, but like I tell a lot of kids, because I have a little art class locally in where the town we live in, Waxhaw, just down the street, where I teach kids how to draw cartoons. And now I'm teaching a watercolor and color pencil class right now. Gotcha. What I tell a lot of kids, you need to know how to draw traditionally first. Okay, pencil and paper. And then from there, if the computer is a tool, the computer does not make you as an artist. That is not an artist. You are the artist. You can spend a $500 pencil to a $200 pencil to a $1 pencil. The $1 is equal to those other two pencils. You are the artist, not the pencil. So saying that, a lot of times they think, oh, I get this big fancy computer, I get all these programs, I can do anything. I'm like, no, that starts here first, your creativity, your imaginations. So saying that, traditionally, I love to play with. I love traditionally doing artwork. I was an airbrush-aholic when I grew up. I airbrushed everything you can imagine back in the heydays in high school and so forth. So knowing that helped me to be better as an artist on the computer because you understand frisketing, the layering, and so forth, and tap tones and everything. So if you have that as a basic, it's much better traditionally. The kids nowadays are losing that because they jump right on the computer. They're not going right on artwork. They're not taking a brush. They don't know how a brush feels on a piece of paper. Yeah. When you're inking thick and skin. That makes everything in the world because I have a stylist, okay, where I can paint and color on. I love that for the fact I don't have to have the spray or I go out and run out of paper or paint or whatever. The color I'm never going to run out. But I knew how to do it beforehand, the style, how to do it. So that helped me much better.
Like, and you mentioned about that pencil and that really tangible thing too. Like that's the one thing. And again, being a cartoon fan, you'll appreciate this, mentioning Chuck Jones.
Yeah.
Like there's just something that's missing when everything is done on the computer. And this is for animation. This is done for books. Like you don't get to hold that artwork now.
That original artwork, absolutely, yeah. The old time when you go to the Comic-Con, you're thumbing through all those things with those original pencils or the inks, the combination, yeah.
And like it
makes it more valuable.
Yeah, current stuff is not like that anymore. Like, it's funny. I was looking for an animation cell for my son, and like I found out so half the show was done the traditional way, the rest of the show was done the way.
Which show? Out of curiosity.
It was one of the Warner Brothers. I think it was like the brain stuff. Because and it's like harder to find some of those things. I'm sure being from New Jersey, you've been to Kevin Smith's Secret Stash, Jay and Silent Bob.
Yes, yeah.
Years ago, I was on Comic Book Man. I was one of the people that brought something in to sell, and I brought in Fonz to sell from the cartoon. And it was funny talking with Walt and the guys. He said the one thing that they always get whenever people come into the store is like, do they have cells from the Clerks cartoon? And they're like, they don't exist.
No.
There is no artwork from that show. And again, thinking back to like the old Disney stuff, the old Warner Brothers stuff, those old comic book pencils, like you said, the value goes up because they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, back in the days, they used to throw that stuff out in the back. They didn't want to. Or then they recycle them because they need the animation cells.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's crazy. And then you find like somebody else, like my great grandmother's cousin was a secretary to whomever, and they gave me this piece of artwork because it was just a gift, and now it's worth like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
because it's like. You see that story. Like I think even was it in Jersey or Staten Island. There was that story. I mean, it was big this past year, but about the Rudolph and Santa figures. Like I guess.
Oh, right.
Bash just gave those puppets to like his secretary, and they became her Christmas decoration. Beat up.
Yeah.
So,
you never know.
But I agree. Like getting kids used to working with the pencils and the different mediums, I think is really important because the computer's nice, but the computer, cleans up things. Like there are no imperfections on the computer. Really,
you can't make a mistake.
Yeah, you go back.
I mean, traditionally, you can't make a mistake on a computer. If you make a mistake, you can clean it up easy, undo. Traditionally, oh man, that was a nightmare. Nightmare. So you could airbrush and you realize the underspray for the airbrushing went underneath there and all the color or it's dripping. You had to fix it. Yeah. Stuff like that. If the inking, you're inking and everything, next thing you know is like, oh, I didn't like that ink line. You got to white it out and re-ink it on the computer. Undo, keep it going, undo, keep it going, undo. But if you know how to do it traditionally, then the computer is even more powerful. So if you don't know traditionally and you go on the computer, you're not as strong as you possibly could be as an artist. That I truly believe. Because you don't understand the pressure of a brush or the mixing the colors or the aspect of what it really appreciate it, then you can take wholeheartedly on it.
Yeah, and again, you appreciate it. And like I'm just seeing here, like Joe Ryan, he's like Joe Ryan was a graduate of the Kubert School, and he's agreeing what we do too. Like that stuff is so important to understand the art behind it, I think.
Right. Right. So. I mean, it's like, again, it's like the Pillsbury cake mix. Okay. They made that, I think, in the 40s or 50s, whenever it was, for the women, just to make they feel good. Just add a little water and 2 eggs and mix it, and you can make a cake. All right. What did they put in there? They put put the flour, the baking soda, the salt, and they already put all that ingredients in there. Well, you can do that yourself. So those boxes are like the computer. You don't learn it, so you become unappreciative of what true art really is. Mm-hmm. So if you know how to make a cake the old-fashioned way, when you make it, you taste it, you're like, that's the real McCoy. So when you're saying of the animation cells, you can't find them. When you see original art and somebody's doing that, you're really like, wow, that's good. Okay, that guy's good. Because it's harder now. I would challenge kids nowadays to try to do something that us old folks did traditionally. They'll be like, I don't like it.
Absolutely. And Joe just wrote here. I believe traditional art is the one that takes the most skill. I always work traditionally. Prefers it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
So we're getting to 9:30 already. We've been doing almost for an hour.
Oh wow! No way.
Time flies.
Oh man,
here all the time. So before we go, I mean, we definitely I gave you your YouTube page. I'm going to throw that up there.
Thank you.
And again, so check that out, JM Studio 1 on YouTube, and then jmstudio-studio.biz. And again, everything you want, Friendfish. Outside of the book that's just coming out, is there anything else like you want to plug? What else are we going to be coming? What else in the next months, year might we be seeing from you?
Sure, definitely. We're working on the book number 2 for the comic book, because it's 1 out of 2. That's following. We're working on that right now. We're currently working on the cartoon series for the Friendfish. That's big. When that hits and everything, that's going to be going streamlined. And everything. I have a toy manufacturer from Paul Casilion. We're working with the company that he knows, and we're at the second wave. It's not guaranteed yet. Okay, it's not sold or anything, but if it does go through, hey, I might have toys being manufactured up on top of this right now.
Wow. No, and that's probably at Walmart. You can go pick them up. But I mean, so certainly, guys, go check out Friendfish. Go buy some bibs or flip-flops, whatever it is that you want to buy.
Clocks, shower curtains, beach towels, and my biggest seller are my ties.
I might have to go and order one of those ties.
Yeah, those ties people just love. I have like 100 designs.
Yeah, I mean, guys, check out the website. There's so much stuff to do. So again, thank you, my friend, for joining us. This was a lot of fun. It was great to catch up with you here. I'm glad that we got with our audience here from Incredicon and IncrediChat.
Yeah. Really quick. Remember, we were connected for a long time. And how did you get connected to me? Marketing.
Yeah. And now, in mentioning that, you're absolutely right. The best way, I think, is when you go to these cons, talk to people, get to know them.
Correct.
That's
correct. You saw the latest Friendfish on your Facebook page. You're like, oh, you remembered me. That's marketing.
Yeah.
All right, bud.
But thank you so much again. And just hang out here for a minute once we close out.
Will do.
Catch up. But folks, again, thank you, John-Marc, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Next week, we're going to be talking about some Marvel and DC stuff, the movies. Get Friendfish. In 2 weeks, we got Sherry Johnson from Punky Brewster coming on. We will see you all next week on IncrediChat. Have a great night. Thank you for joining us again.
Thanks.